Hi, Shamara. Hello, hello. Hi, it's great to see ya. Sounds like work has been a little hectic lately.
Yes, I don't know. I was going to say that I might cancel this job.
Oh, but you're here.
I'm here. I'm here. I just meant in general for a little bit.
Oh, right. Yeah, because work has been so crazy. Yeah. Oh, and I know too, you and your husband are working on the book too. And then, but like work is kind of taking over, it sounds like. So
I
that can be
haven't
kind of like, oh.
I haven't even looked at the book, honestly. I've just been
Oh.
working and working and working on weekends. Like it's crazy. It's crazy
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
Yeah, I think it seems like everybody has been just like crazy busy lately. My brother, he got a new job and he was like, "They told me there wouldn't be much overtime and he doesn't get paid extra for it." And he's like, "I have worked every single weekend since I started this job." He's like, "I'm like at home on my computer doing that programming stuff." And he's like, "Oh, he's like, I'm trying to do the yard work and all these other things." And he's like, "I have no time." And then his wedding is in 2 weeks too, so he's just like,
All right. Then I
So
should not complain.
my brother-in-law had kind of a similar thing here recently. He had it was 650 days he was working on this one big project and he was supposed to be like the head of a team. And then it ended up just being him and it was supposed to be done in December and he's been working on it like all by himself and he just finished. So he's
Oh,
had the same thing, those long days. My husband yesterday worked like 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. I was like, I think that's too much. He was just like, I gotta finish these projects. So I get it. I think it's
and
maybe
I'm
it's just like a season, like a busy season for everybody. I don't know. I don't know
it
what
is.
it is.
I'm
Hopefully we all get a little, breather.
brain. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean if you're like, I just really need to step back and focus on that. I totally get it because I know you're juggling a lot. So,
Yeah,
oh,
I don't know. I just haven't focused, so I do apologize. I know that's not
yeah.
very kind to you as a instructor, so
Oh,
I apologize. So,
oh. Well, I mean,
but
I think that we do some really beautiful work when we are in the sessions together, which is always really exciting to hear. So, um, even if you're like, I didn't practice as much as I wanted to or whatnot, I still feel like I'm always really pleased when I get to hear, the progress that you guys have made, in any way, even if it's just in that session individually that I get to see you grow. So I'm glad you're here today. And then I totally understand if you're like, whew, I'm a little overwhelmed and we need to step back for a little bit. I've been loving the work we've been doing on the book. I think that your character instincts have been really on point, and I also feel like the narration, the flow of that has definitely improved. That was something, we focused so much on the character development for so long. Going into narration is a little bit of a different energy. But then also with the switching between characters and whatnot, I've definitely heard some improvement there. So that definitely takes a little bit of like, whew, this is a different feel because we're switching all the time. But I've heard a lot of really great growth with observing the pauses and punctuation. That's one thing that has helped a lot. Um, I also feel like last time you were doing a really nice job of giving the narrator um like a good point of view and a good like energy and ambiance that was being added to the scene, rather than being like a neutral third party, having more of that like I'm telling the story kind of quality so that you're kind of taking the audience by the hand and guiding them through, which I thought worked really beautifully. I was very excited to hear that. So what are some of the things that you feel like you have improved on and kind of seen some growth in our last few sessions?
um, I will say that I was nervous about doing multiple characters, but I feel like I don't know. I did okay. So I did much better than I thought I was, but I did make note that I know in the end of our last session
Yeah.
that we like my narration voice needs to be also a character, and we worked on that a little bit, but I just want to make sure like
Mm,
make note of continuing, to be thinking about it with the mindset. Um,
yeah.
yeah. So
Absolutely. Okay, yeah. So, did you want to check back in on the same section again, or do you want to try a new section of the book today? Because sometimes it's
um
nice to revisit and kind of see where something is at. But then other times, it might be good to feel like you kind of push yourself to do a new section. So,
I have done nothing since we
oh,
last,
that's
so I apologize. So
okay.
it may be worse than last time.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm yeah, I just why don't we go for a new section? Let's go for a
Okay,
new.
absolutely. Yeah, let's do it. Um, so we're gonna go ahead and look, like you said, at the new section. So, do you want to maybe just like find one at random that has some good dialogue, or that maybe is like a different chunk of the book where it's like, oh, okay, I can, explore and experiment with this new section.
Yeah, let's do that. Looking at it looks like this section has changed a bit, so I'm curious to see how it goes.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe,
Right, because since you've seen it, your husband updated it,
yeah,
which is pretty exciting.
yeah. I mean, he really has been making it better. I have to give him that.
Yeah, but he's taking notes and making improvements, reworking things. It's great that he's so, passionate and excited about doing it.
Yeah, the other day he was like, "Oh yeah, I've got an idea for another short story." I was like, "Oh,
Aw,
okay." He's in the writing realm, I guess. So
love it.
now
Yeah,
my
he's just in
husband,
that zone. Got his creative juices stirring.
yes, yeah, and he's inspiring my son because my
Aw.
son's been saying he wants to write a book with his friend now. So I
Mm.
thought that was cute.
That is
Um,
really cute. I love that.
one moment. I apologize. I'm gonna make
Yeah, no problem at all.
these words a different color just so I know when this other person's talking. Okay, we'll see how this goes. Just so that you know where we're at. So I'm on
Yeah.
chapter 4. So this is after she's repeated the scenario many times, but she doesn't know how she's doing it. She just keeps repeating. Um, and she's figured out um, what needs to be done so that the bus doesn't crash and they don't die. So
Mm.
what's happening here? Okay, because
Okay, so kind
she's been
of an
dying.
intense moment.
She's been dying in chapter. One more try. Clara looked up with her game face on. No wincing, no replaying the failures. She kept her breath. I'm sorry. I'm already reading this wrong. I apologize. Let me start again. Chapter 4. Okay, okay, one more try. Clara looked up with her game face on. No wincing, no replaying the failures. She kept her breathing steady and her eyes forward. She sat up, stepped into the aisle, and walked purposefully to the front of the bus. Ease early, please, she told the driver, keeping her voice steady. We'll do a quick check on the right. The driver glanced at the mirror and held it a beat too long. His jaw set. Miss, he said, not unkind, but not budging. I went to bus school before you were born. I've been driving district routes for 20 years. Snow, ice, lone tires, jackknife semis. I know this hill. A few heads lifted. Ethan's attention sharpened. Clara didn't flinch. She nodded once, like she'd just ticked a box. I know, she said, and that's why I'm asking for the drill version, not the one you do on reflex. He frowned despite himself. The what? The downhill wet curve drill, she said without hesitating. She'd learned he'd listened to details, so she went straight to her memorized technical phrasing. Straight line brake check before the grade, 2 form presses to fight the bite, full release between, then hover. They reach it in certification because the brakes respond louder. Come here.
Okay. So how did that read through feel?
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I've been. My son just dropped in. What's up? How'd it go?
Oh. Oh,
So sorry. She's
it's
doing.
okay.
That's gonna be you soon. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He just needed a mom moment. That's okay.
So sorry.
One of my students, her brother just likes to like hang out in the room while she has her lessons. He just enjoys it. So
So sweet. I love that.
yeah, I'm like, does he want to participate?
Like,
Yeah,
sweet.
he just like sits there and he's like, I just want to be here.
That's
I
really
never
cool.
mind it. I'm like, that's kind of cool. All right. So I know that we're just kind of diving into it, right? So it feels very new. It's like, okay, so here's where we're at. Um, so it doesn't have to be, perfect yet. We don't expect it to be. Um, so what are some of the things that stood out to you that you were like, okay, I want to remember these things, and I want to kind of hold on to these and bring these things out more and maybe adjust in these ways. What were some of those things that stood out to you?
Um, I think I wanted the bus driver's voice to be a bit more gruff, maybe a little bit more annoyed that some teenagers telling him what to do. I think
Okay.
that would be better. And then I think I need to have more of a difference between the narrator voice and Clara. But I need to work on that.
Yeah.
So I would say those two things.
Okay. Awesome. Good. Yeah. Good reflections, observations there. Awesome. So then, so when you think about this, when you're like, okay, I'm looking at this character and what do I want to do with it? Um, for the character voices, what are some of the things that you're going to try to be sure that you bring out in those character voices?
I feel like I still haven't really honed in on what Clara should sound like. I feel like
Okay.
every time we've done this, I have my notes. Like I want her to be I don't know, a little bit more dry and a little bit more like sarcastic but mature. I want her to be no
Mm.
nonsense. That's what I wrote down as her like to try to remember when I'm doing her voice, but
Mhm.
I never really got to like what how that was going to differ from the narration voice, and
Yeah.
so I think I'm struggling a bit there,
Oh,
and then for the bus driver, like I said, I think I kind of lowered the register. I tried to give him a little bit of a southern um twang, but I think maybe making it a little bit more gruff would be
okay.
a better way, like for
Sure.
his character. Um, and that could help give me some more room for the younger male characters later on.
Mm.
Like since there's so many like tiny little ones. Um, I know that we said that there's a difference between like when you're doing the voiceover for a book and you're like really doing in-depth characters, and then there's also where you're basically just trying to show there's a difference between the words
Right.
that are being spoken. And I feel like I'm like on the line here and I'm trying to figure
Oh,
out what is too far when we're just changing voices for the sake
yeah.
of understanding that a different character is speaking.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. So I think for the characters that are large characters, having a little bit more of like an iconic, instantly recognizable kind of character voice is better. But I think, when it's just like a random character, I think you can just do like subtle changes, attitude changes. This one has a little bit of a nasality to it. This one is going to have a little bit of a gruffness to their voice. This one's going to have a little bit of a whiny quality. So, this one's going to have a little bit of a shy, nervous quality, and so just something small just to let us feel that the character changed. But I don't think it has to necessarily be a fully fleshed out character voice for those. Um, so I definitely take more time developing a character that's, a main character that's the protagonist who's going to be there the whole time. Or like the supporting leads, like the best friend, that kind of a thing. Um, but then, or like an antagonist who's a main character, a big prominent focus. But when it's a character who's there for just a very little amount of time, I don't spend a whole lot of time on those. So it's more of just think of an attitude shift and just subtle changes just to kind of signal it's a different character, but they don't have to have a full-on personality development. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and try it again. Observing the punctuation, bringing out, some subtle character changes throughout there. So yeah, just whenever you're ready, go ahead
Sorry,
and
I
prepare.
apologize.
It's okay.
I was trying to
Yeah.
see if I could
And like I sometimes take a second to just kind of read through silently and just kind of mentally get myself in the headspace too. So no worries if you want to take a moment and, think through what you want to do with it.
okay. Chapter 4. Okay, okay, one more try. Clara looked up with her game face on. No wincing, no replaying the failures. She kept her breathing steady and her eyes forward. She sat up, slipped into the aisle, and walked purposefully to the front of the bus. Ease early, please, she told the driver, keeping her voice steady. We'll do a quick check on the right. The driver glanced at the mirror and held it a beat too long. His jaw set. Miss, he said, not unkind, but not budging. I went to bus school before you were born. I've been driving district routes for 20 years. Snow, ice, blown tires, jackknife semis. I know this hill. A few heads lifted. Ethan's attention sharpened. Clara didn't flinch. She nodded once, like she just ticked a box. I know, she said, and that's why I'm asking for the drill version, not the one you do on reflex. He frowned, despite himself. The what? The downhill wet curve drill, she said without hesitating. She'd learned he'd listened to details, so she went straight to her memorized technical phrasing. Straight line brake check before the grade. 2 firm presses to find the bite, full release between, then hover. They teach it in certification because the brakes respond slower under load, especially on older buses with tired pads. The mirror caught his eyes, widening before he could stop it. She kept going, quiet and specific. That's, that's
Okay. All right, good. So, what was the number one thing that you noticed that changed or improved there?
I think I had a bit more energy.
Definitely, I agree with that. It had this like quiet intensity, like this undercurrent to it, which I thought was really nice. Like this like steady, intense undercurrent to everything.
Okay, I'll take that. Um, yeah, I feel like if I do it a few more times, I could.
Yeah, right. Just kind of, getting the words in your mouth, getting the flow of everything for sure. It always is going to improve. But yeah, I definitely thought it had a nice, just steady, intense quality to it. Um, and I also thought the pacing and the pausing was a little bit better that time. So definitely heard some improvement there. If we do it again, what's the number one thing that you're going to focus on? The thing that you're like, okay, I want to see if I can do this better.
Um, Again, I think just the vocal difference between the
Yeah.
narrator and Clara.
Ah,
I don't think that that it's distinct. Um, Again,
okay.
I I was thinking I would use my normal voice for the narration,
Hmm.
and then try to come up with something um, for Clara. Um,
Okay. Yeah, love that. Definitely. That sounds like a great idea.
um, so, um,
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and try that?
okay. Chapter 4. Okay, okay, one more try. Clara looked up with her game face on. No wincing, no replaying the failures. She kept her breathing steady and her eyes forward. She sat up, stepped into the aisle, and walked purposefully to the front of the bus. And now I don't know what to do with Clara. I don't know. I need to figure out a voice for her. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, so why
um,
don't we take a second? Let's just kind of reflect on what we know about the character, who she is, what she brings to the table. So what do we know about her? Like what do you think of when you think of her as a character?
I think that of course, like she's gonna be strong. She's gonna be mostly self-assured. She's
Okay.
she's a bit sarcastic. Um, she's she's kind of no nonsense sarcastic. Like I want her to have a a little bit more of that the Daria voice that we talked about before
Sure.
because I feel like she gives off like that she's smart um and that she's trying to be kind of nonchalant about that
Hmm.
but
Okay.
so that's what I think but
Yeah.
I just don't know you know how to make that voice happen really
Got
um,
it. Yeah.
yeah
Yeah. So you kind of know, the concept. You just are like, I'm not totally sure how to create that at
I
this
just
point.
figured
And
it
that's
yeah
okay.
yeah
Yeah,
yeah so I will work on her voice
definitely. Yeah. Do you have any character inspirations? Because I know that's been something that's been helpful in the past.
um I mentioned Daria, but I also like think about I don't know. Have you ever seen The Diplomat with Carrie Russell?
I know what you're talking about. I've seen like the like trailers for it, but I haven't actually watched it.
Um, I don't know. I think about her like kind of how she is on the show.
Okay,
But I just don't know if that translates to a voice
sure.
that I can do. So it's more like
Yeah,
I just got to figure out how to sound the way I my brain would like it.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, in your mind, you're like, I have these ideas. I just don't know how to make them happen the way I want them to. Yeah.
And for some reason, I find like for her voice, I just feel like I've been all over the place. I haven't really figured out what that's going to be yet. So I probably should just kind of sit
Yeah.
down because she's the consistent piece throughout this thing. So I probably should.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think just taking some time just to really isolate her character and her voice. Um, so why don't we take just like one line of hers? And we're just gonna play with that individual line and see what we can come up with for that particular line and for her voice in particular. Um, knowing what we know about her age, her personality, her attitude, what's going on in this moment, um, thinking about what we can do to create that character. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I would like to work on coming up with a voice for her.
Yeah. So we have that combination of like Daria and the character from The Diplomat. So what would be some traits, like character traits that you feel like would shine through then?
Um, like I mean, she needs to speak with some authority. Like
Okay.
she definitely is more confident than she should be for her age. Um,
I feel like that's a pretty normal thing when you're a teenager. I definitely thought I knew more than I did at the time.
I think I still feel that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I need to come up with like, should it be lower? Like, should it be kind of deadpan? Like, I'm trying to figure out
Yeah.
what is the sound, you know.
Okay. I think that's pretty appropriate for like the teenager vibe, Being a little more like I'm bored, I don't want to deal with this. Yeah, so why don't we take one of her lines and try a little bit slower, a little more deadpan, a little more of that kind of character quality.
Ease early, please, she told the driver, keeping her voice steady. We'll do a quick check on the right.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think that works really well. It's like, um, because she's not normal, and I feel like she is dealing with a lot, and so I think, it makes sense for her to be a little more like, I know things you don't know, and also to, I think sometimes too, when people are in those instances where it could end up being kind of a scary thing or like it's more of like an emergency situation, some people get very calm and very focused, and they might normally be more buoyant or whatnot, but then like in those moments they get very serious and like steady and stable and are like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. They kind of shift and it feels like, this is a pretty serious moment, is how that's coming across. Um, but also like she's like, I have it well in hand. Just listen to me, kind of a thing. Um, it's kind of the impression I got. Is that what you were trying to go for?
That was what I was trying to go for.
Perfect. Wonderful. So that was working. It was happening. Awesome. So was there anything that you were like, I feel like I would tweak this, like even with the narration or anything like that, anything that you were like, I feel like I could adjust this, or were you like, I really liked that? And thinking about the character inspirations that you were pulling from, is that kind of what you envisioned?
Um, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I need to figure out how to still show dynamics and emotion
Mm.
while still having a kind of a flattish sounding voice. Um,
Okay. Yeah, right.
I
Right.
feel
Like how
like
can
it's
we
still
subtly
missing that.
show her shifts?
Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. Um,
Maybe I'm thinking about it too much, but yeah. Um,
yeah. So, along those lines then, what do you feel like is her main goal here? Like her main action or her main intention or her main emotional quality? What's like her overarching emotional feeling here?
I really think that like she's done this a million times, so she already knows what everybody's gonna say. So she's really just trying to get through it, um, and make him listen to her. Um, so she's kind of like just kind of she's going through the motions because she's already memorized this. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like there should be kind of like an undercurrent of urgency there or like an exasperation, like he's not listening to her? Or, is there anything like that that we want to
I
incorporate?
just I think urgency
Okay.
would be good. I don't. I think she knows he's going to listen to her because she's already tested
Yeah,
all of
she's been here before. She's like, I've done this. I know it's going to work out. So it's more just like, here's what I need to do. Here's what you need to do. Here's what we are going to do. Like she's like, I know how to handle this. So yeah, just feeling very like capable, sure of herself, confident, but also like calm, reassuring him probably, but also trying to be like, this is serious. You need to do what I'm saying. So all
and I
all of
feel
that,
like
I
she has to
think.
speak with authority because why would a driver want to listen to a kid? So like
Yeah,
she
exactly. Yeah. So she has to be like, hey, this is serious. Pay attention. Yeah. And here's what you need to do. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Yeah. So, so maybe that kind of feeling of where she's like, maybe in the past he has been kind of like, you're just a kid. Why would I listen to you? So being a little bit more like, hey, I need you to take me seriously. Yeah.
right. Yep.
Yeah, let's try that.
Ease early, please, she told the driver, keeping her voice steady. We'll do a quick check on the right. I don't know why I'm saying that. That's not what she said. I just made that up. Okay, I'll try it. Ease early, please, she told the driver, keeping her voice steady. We'll do a quick check on the straight. Keep going.
Okay. All right. Good. Yeah. And he might be kind of like confused and like, how do you know all this and what's going on? But as long as he keeps doing it, you're going to keep telling him what to do next, right? So yeah, I think that's coming across. Very nice. Good. So then, anything that you would have changed there? I was actually pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely wasn't bad. It had a little more of that kind of like authority context and also the urgency, I think. It had a little bit more of that like compelling him to like, hey, do what I said. So I definitely think that that came across, which was great.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I said, it's more the contrast between I think the narrator and that voice that
Mm.
I'm mostly worried about. I
Okay. Yeah. Um, the narrator, I think, can sound more just like your regular self. Is it that you feel like the character just kind of sounds a little bit like you?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the main character and the narrator though too, it's not uncommon for them to sound pretty similar. Because the narrator is telling the story and then the story is about the main character. So that actually doesn't bother me too much as long as there is the lift between where we have that pause where we're switching between the character and the narrator. And I also think the narrator voice isn't going to be as intense as the character. Like, um, the narrator is going to be just like a little less energy with it. The narrator, I feel like is, for instance, would be a little bit more at ease because they're like, I'm telling you the story of what happened, or what is happening in this moment or whatever. Um, so, I think there can be a little more, if people say like, okay, do it again, but like make it 10 times bigger or raise the stakes. You hear that a lot, raise the stakes. So the character has higher stakes than the narrator, right? Um, but yeah, I actually thought what you did sounded like it definitely was on the right track and I was like, oh, that's even better. I love it. So let's try that same chunk one more time and raise the stakes for the character slightly. So, like something that can help with that is give yourself like a consequence, for instance, like an as if. So it's as if we don't do this, then my sister's child is going to run out in the road and get hit or something, like so it's something that makes it where there's a little more of these like higher stakes kind of a thing. And even if she is going to be like that quieter intensity, authority, like in control, I think you'll still hear the little bit of urgency if you give yourself one of those as ifs. Yeah, of
Mhm.
raising the stakes. So let's go ahead and try that and just see what we can come up with.
Okay. Chapter 4. Okay, okay, one more try. Clara looked up with her game face on. No wincing, no replaying the failures. She kept her breathing steady and her eyes forward. She sat up, stepped into the aisle, and walked purposefully to the front of the bus. Ease early, please, she told the driver, keeping her voice steady. We'll do a quick check on the right. Why do I keep saying that? That's not what it says. I don't know why I keep saying it. We'll do a quick check on the straight. The driver glanced at the mirror and held it a beat too long. His jaw set. Miss, he said, not unkind, but not budging. I went to bus school before you were born. I've been driving district routes for 20 years. Snow, ice, blown tires, jackknife semis. I know this hill. A few heads lifted. Ethan's attention sharpened. Clara didn't flinch. She nodded once, like she'd ticked the box. I know, she said, and that's why I'm asking for the drill version, not the one you do on reflex. He frowned, despite himself. The what? The downhill wet curve drill, she said without hesitating. She'd learned he'd listened to details, so she went straight to her memorized technical phrasing. Straight line brake check. I don't know why I had a southern accent there. Sorry. Straight line brake check before the grade. Two firm presses to find the bite. Full release between. Then hover. They teach it in certification because the brake responds slower under the load, especially on older buses with tired pads. The mirror caught his eyes, widening before he could stop it. She kept going, quiet and specific.
Okay, good. I don't mind those little moments of like little fumbles because in the recording process, you can just take a second and be like, oh, little blooper. I'm just going to take a breath. I'm going to redo that line, and then you keep going. So I actually really don't mind that at all. So, yeah, I think that's perfectly okay if that happens. Um, so, um, the key is being able to like reconnect to it after the break. Like take a breath, redo it, but stay engaged, stay emotionally on top of it, that kind of thing. Um, so what were the things that you liked there that you were like, ah, that went well?
Not much. That one was pretty bad.
You
Stop
felt
it.
like it was a little rough. You were like, that's not what I wanted.
Yeah, I just made too many mistakes. It was just a bit distracting.
Ah, yeah, that you were just like constantly distracted and frustrated with yourself. Sometimes we do go, I just need to scrap that take and just start again. So maybe it's one of those where it's like, I just need to go back to the top and we're gonna try that again. Um,
Sorry
if
about
that's the
that.
case, it's okay. Yeah. So yeah, and that's what happened this time, and that's all right. So then if you were going to give yourself, um, let's say, let's, you know what? I want you to kind of let yourself off the hook this time through, and I just want you to go through it and have fun with it this time. Just kind of follow your instincts, have fun with it, and just let yourself off the hook and be like, hey, whatever happens, happens. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Just try to make it more fun.
Okay. Chapter 4. Okay, okay, one more try. Clara looked up with her game face on. No wincing, no replaying the failures. She kept her breathing steady and her eyes forward. She sat up, stepped into the aisle, and walked purposefully to the front of the bus. Ease early, please, she told the driver, keeping her voice steady. We'll do a quick check on the straight. The driver glanced at the mirror and held it a bit too long, his jaw set. Miss, he said, not unkind, but not budging. I went to bus school before you were born. I've been driving district routes for 20 years. Snow, ice, blown tires, jackknife semis. I know this hill. A few heads lifted. Ethan's attention sharpened. Clara didn't flinch. She nodded once, like she just ticked a box. I know, she said, and that's why I'm asking for the drill version, not the one you do on reflex. He frowned, despite himself. The what? The downhill wet curve drill, she said without hesitating. She learned he'd listened to details, so she went straight to her memorized technical phrasing. Straight line brake check before the grade. Two firm presses to find the bite. Full release between, then hover. They teach it in certification because the brakes respond slower under load, especially on older buses with tired pads. The mirror caught his eyes widening before he could stop it. She kept going, quiet and specific. Okay, that was it.
Nice. All right, good. So, all right. So what did you like better about that time through?
I was trying not to think about it. I was just trying to go for it.
Yeah, right. That you get kind of out of your head. Sometimes when we focus too much and we're just like really, really trying, it just becomes labored. And we go, gosh, it is not working as I would hope. Um, and so sometimes just kind of letting yourself off the hook a little bit and going, I'm just gonna go for it. Just dive in and see what happens. Sometimes it's like, oh, there it was, and it's just so much better. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so sometimes I think especially when we just start getting kind of like it feels like it's getting worse instead of better. Just kind of shaking it off or taking a break and coming back to it can be really helpful. Um, but just kind of like giving yourself like I'm gonna try something different here. Um, it just can be really beneficial where you're not like beating your head against the wall kind of a thing. So yeah, I think that definitely helped with giving yourself like a little, you know, breather from what we were doing and going, okay, I'm gonna shift my focus here. I'm gonna try something else and, you know, hopefully it's gonna make things a lot better is the way we want it to go. Um, so yeah, so did you feel like that that helped you to just kind of let go of some of that um and be like, oh, okay, just kind of following my instincts worked better there. I definitely felt like there was more of an ease to it, which is great. I would say, if it's a scene where the character is feeling something similar, you can always utilize the emotions that you're feeling in that moment. So that is always an option, you know?
Yep. I did feel like that was, I don't know, it felt more, a little more natural.
Yeah,
So not as stifled. I think I was thinking about it
good.
um a bit much. So I think
Mm,
that's a good technique for me. Like I might
great.
just throw it to the wind and let it be. You can always fix it. You can always redo it.
Right. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yeah, good attitude. Yeah. And sometimes, like I said, stepping away and just coming back to it is where it's at. And it's like, there we go. And it just all clicks then. So sometimes that's what we need. So yeah, awesome work there. What would you say is maybe the thing that maybe is your key takeaway, the thing that you go, okay, I want to remember this, hold on to it, work with this over the next week or so.
Um, I think I said coming up with a consistent voice for Clara, I
Mhm.
think is going to be my
Okay.
goal.
Yeah.
Think it's something that I could do. Like, I don't even have to have the words in front of me. I could be saying anything as long as
Right.
I'm saying it in her voice. So
Yeah.
there's no reason for me not to be able to try to come up with something this week. So,
Yeah. Love that. Yeah. So that's going to be a key focus for this week. Um, and then if you were to say maybe the number one thing that was the most fun or satisfying, or the thing that you felt like you grew the most in that area, what would that be?
I guess I'd say just going for it, even though I think it sounds crappy.
Oh,
Usually,
yeah. Yeah,
I
I
usually
I think you can do a lot more of trusting yourself, trusting your instincts and just kind of going for it fully. Um, I think that is something that is going to really be good for you. But right now, I think that is something that is hard for you right now. Um, so yeah, I think learning to um, have a little bit more of a sense of play with it and going, I'm gonna take myself a little less seriously and just try to have fun with this, um, is a great way to approach it. But I totally get if you're like, ah, a little bit frustrated sometimes and feel like things aren't exactly going as you would hope, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I just think I mean, I just think it's not natural for me. I think I always envy people who are very playful
Yeah.
and they're not like like they don't really care about what other people think is maybe that's not even the thing. It's more like
Yeah.
they're not as worried. I don't know. I'm hard on myself is basically what
Mm,
I would say, right? It's like, oh, I can
yeah.
hear that it doesn't sound the way that I wanted it to, and so I'm
Yeah.
just thinking about it too much. But I'm
Right.
working on that. Yeah,
So
I'm
judging yourself, listening to yourself, getting in your head more. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I
So getting
and I
to where you just can be a little bit more like, whatever happens, happens, and being a little less concerned with perception or what people will think, that kind of thing. Yeah.
and it's not even like other people. It's honestly me. Like
It's your
I
own
picture
judgment
myself.
of yourself.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, that's awful. Like, or
Oh.
I hear you do it. You know, you're very easy to go in and out of voices. And I actually found there's a woman that at my son's school, she does voiceover work. I just randomly
Amazing.
met her at one of like the kids' functions, and she
Yeah.
was complaining about having to get home and do 20 more chapters or whatever. And I was like, oh my god, I was like, I am trying,
Small
to learn
world.
how to do that. And she said she's never taken a class. She just you know
She just decided to go for it. I love it.
for it, but
How bold of her.
she has no inhibitions. She's just like
Oh.
whatever. I
Yeah,
want
which
I
yeah, so it really is, I do think that we can be our own harshest critics. So one thing that has helped me with that is asking myself, what would I say if I was talking to one of my students as opposed to talking to myself? Because the way that I talk to my students is actually a lot more encouraging than the way that I speak to myself. So that is something that I have tried to do is ask myself, what would I say to a student if I was listening to this from that perspective of, okay, this is what I would say to a student of mine, rather than this is what I would say to me, and beat myself up about it and be like, ah, you suck, Um, and I tend to be a lot more kind to myself when I do that. So just something maybe to consider and um, explore this week. Yeah,
yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, something just to play with. But I really liked your instincts. I really enjoyed the work you were doing developing the character. So I would love for you to keep on that track and, keep exploring those character lines and, leaning into who that character is more. Because I actually really was truly enjoying the work you were doing on the character. So yeah, so maybe isolating some of that character's individual, voice and lines and traits. And you were doing such beautiful work with character work prior. I feel like, that hopefully will actually be something that is a little bit easier and more satisfying.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's possible. For some reason, I'm just having a hard time with her more than anyone else.
Yeah.
So, but I just think it's because I know it's important.
Yeah. That you just have an idea in your head and you're like, I just want it to be perfect and I want to sound like this thing that I have in my head. Um, and yeah, I think just trusting that if you if you are asked to do a project, it is because they believe you can do it. And they wouldn't have asked you to do it if they didn't believe you could. Um, so I like to remind myself of that too when I get like, oh my gosh, why did they hire me for this? Um, Going, well, they believe I can do it, you know? And so then I'm like, maybe I can. So I really am enjoying what you're doing with the character. I'm pretty excited about it. So I really look forward to hearing more in the future. And then, yeah, if you, did you want to just go ahead and like suspend sessions for right now while work is crazy? Do you have like a certain time frame that you're thinking?
Let's let's go ahead and go if it's okay with you, if we can let's continue with this Tuesday and then we're on spring break the following week.
Okay, great. So we'll meet on the 24th, but then not the 31st.
Yes, please.
Perfect. All right, great. And then you can just let me know as we go into April.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I think thank you.
All right. Well, I heard some really good progress today. I'm loving the character. I definitely could feel a little bit of a shift from just like a straight up Daria inspiration. So I definitely heard a little bit of change happening with kind of infusing the two character inspirations. So that came across really beautifully for me. So yeah, I think just trust your instincts more because you're on the right track.
Good.
Alrighty, well, I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good rest of your week and good weekend, and I'll see you Tuesday.
Thank you. Bye.